Train Sim World 4. There's been lots of mutterings about the price. I thought I'd check it out with some other simulators. So, Train Sim World 4, a couple of editions. There's the Deluxe Edition. That's the one we're going to price for this. And there's the Standard Edition. It's slightly less value. That's the published pricing. We've been through that before. I'm not going to go through it now. Let's see how it stacks up against other things. So I better turn off my face cam just for a moment because you won't be able to see some of this stuff. Basically across the top there I've got a bunch of other games and I've compared quite a few, so we'll get to the others in a tick. But so let's just run through it. Train Sim World, you get to keep it after you buy it, so it's not a sub. There's an annual release. It often updates with the annual release plus patches. It's $66 Australian to buy the current Deluxe Edition. There's 4 to 8 DLC per year. DLCs are paid for. And let's assume you buy the release plus 3 DLC each year, which would seem to me to be about normal. It's $210. Train Sim Classic. It's a keeper. You only pay for it once and then it updates each year. Updates to the game are quite sporadic. We've had annual small cosmetic updates, but we've only had one big update and that's recently. It costs $40 to buy it. It does have DLC. You do have to pay for the DLC, and if you bought 3 of them each year, you'd be looking at about $200. So it's not much different, is it? So one's paid a release each year, which comes with a bunch of routes, and the other one's a free update each year, which doesn't really come with anything, and the annual price is about the same. Let's see how that stacks up with the others. We go on to Derail Valley, so it's a keeper. You pay for it once. It's updated once. So we've only had the one update for it. It costs $58.50. It doesn't have any DLC, at least at this point. So we don't know if DLC are paid or not. And you can't do the annual price comparison. But you could say it was, it's near enough to $60 a year if you wanted to, except that you only buy it once. Now let's look at trains. So I'm going to look at 2 different variations of trains. It's the same game. So let's look at Trains 2022 for a starter. It's a keeper. It tends to have an annual or so release, and it's at least every couple of years it updates. $70 to buy the game. If you want DLC for it, you can certainly get them. About 4 to 6 new ones come out each year. They are paid for, and funnily enough, it costs you about $220 to have 3 of them with the game. Notice something here? It's about the same. Then we get into Trains Plus, which is a different model. It's a subscription model. You pay annually. You get the game updates 2 yearly, and you get to keep that because it's just part of your subscription. As long as you're on an annual subscription when the game updates, you get to keep the old one. It's $108 for the standard subscription or $201 for the gold one. The gold one gets the new content included, so it's about $201 a year for the DLCs. If you take the standard one, you can buy those other DLC, and guess what? It comes out to about $200. Strange, huh? Now, SimRail, this one's a bit of an unfair comparison because SimRail has only had the one release, ignoring the prologues. We don't know if it'll update. It's $60 to buy it. It hasn't got any DLC yet. There hasn't been any indication there's going to be, but you never know, maybe. So you can't really do that annual pricing on that one. Look at Tram Sim, very similar, except we know Tram Sim is $51 per city, so each time there's a new city, they release a new game, and it doesn't update after that. World of Subways, similar concept. Right now it's $22 for each city, and there's 4 of them. When they come out, they're about $60 though, so it's just cheaper now. It's just the luck of the draw. But, quite a different pricing model. And if we go on to looking at some other games, so I've got TSW's column in there again. So look at Farm Sim. So you get to keep it when you buy it. It's an annual release generally. It usually updates annually. It's $42 to buy it. There's 2 to 3 DLC come out each year, but they're very cheap. You do have to buy them, so it costs you probably $70 a year to have Farm Sim if you keep it up to date. Look at American Truck. Should be ATS. I had to put ATC for, dummy. Should be ATS. I can have my face cam back now, can't I? Let me put it back on again. Alright, it should be ATS, American Truck Simulator. You get to keep it. It's tends to be about an annual release. It's a bit sporadic about how often it updates around that annual release, though. It's $22, so it's a cheap game. It is sometimes more expensive, so maybe it's just on sale at the moment. It is quite cheap, though. There's 2 to 4 DLC that come out per year. It's usually new regions or cities. Those DLC are paid for, and if you buy 3 of them, it'll cost you $110 with the game for each year. Euro Truck, pricing's similar. It's slightly more expensive. It's $122 per year, but apart from that, it's pretty much the same. Now we get into Flight Sim. So Flight Sim, it's a keeper. Every few years you have to buy a new version of it. It's a bit sporadic about how often it updates. It's $100 to buy the game. There's 5 to 10 DLC a year from vaguely official sources. The DLC are paid for, and I had a bit of a look at a random selection of them, and it came to $250 to have the game this year. So with a bunch of DLC that looked interesting. Look at a non-simulation game. I looked at WoW. So it's a subscription model. It comes out every couple of years. Roughly it has updates as well, roughly annual. It's $60 to buy the game. It does have a free trial, but it's $60 to get the game itself. It has expansions that come out rather than DLC, and they are paid for. It probably costs you about $100 a year to keep your subscription running. So where does this leave us? As the sign says, it's about the same price per year as most other mainstream regularly updated simulators. So even with the different pricing models, whether you go for buying it once a year, or your DLCs are a little more expensive, or you get a subscription model, they all come out to about $200 a year for 3 DLC plus the game. That's 3 extra ones apart from what came out with Train Sim World. I could have made that look a whole lot more favourable by saying, hey, Train Sim World comes out with 3 DLCs every year, but I thought that was a bit unfair. So, well, really you're getting 6, aren't you? Anyway, $200 a year. No matter which way you slice it, it's about $200 a year. So, I don't know. Let us know. Comment. Chuck your thoughts in. Anything welcome. You know that. All right. Have fun, folks. See you later.